Okay, fine. Just a moment. Okay. So today's lecture, in the previous class, we have seen, in the previous lecture, we have seen the stress equilibrium equations in two dimensions, right? So now to see stress, stress in a three dimension. All of you, please unmute yourself. Okay. So stresses, see, once I start, I cannot admit any person. Please let them know. Once I start, I cannot admit any other person. And that is the reason I myself is giving ample amount of time. It's almost 11:25. Okay. So in the previous class, we have seen stresses in a two-dimensional body. Now we are going to see the stresses in a three-dimensional body. So stresses in a three-dimensional body. Okay. Let us take an arbitrary three-dimensional body. Okay. It's not like a particular shape. Let us take an arbitrary three-dimensional body. So I'll draw here. Okay. Let us take, this is an arbitrary three-dimensional body. Okay. I'll fix the coordinates here. I'll fix the coordinates like, let us take, this is my x-axis, this is my y-axis, and this is my z-axis. Right? Hope you guys understand what I'm saying. Fine. So let us take this particular arbitrary body is having certain volume V, and it is having certain bound surface. It is having certain surface. Okay. And inside this there are infinite number of points. Obviously you can take infinite number of points in a body, right? I'll just take one particular point for reference. Let us take it as I. Okay. I. Fine. Now this particular body is not in space. It is constrained on a particular region. Let us take this particular body is constrained on a particular region. Okay, this is constrained. So constrained in the sense it is fixed on a particular region. I'm just giving, see, I'm deliberately not taking any shapes which we already know. I'm not taking any engineering shapes, right? I have deliberately considered an arbitrary body, okay, and irregular, not whatever it is, the shape. We don't bother about the shape, but we have considered it. It's a three-dimensional body. It will be having certain volume. So obviously it will be having certain surface. So it is constrained at a particular position, at a particular region in that particular body. So At this, when I say constraint, that means it is fixed. So what happens on that particular surface, on that particular region, the body, the displacement is 0. So because I have fixed, I'm considering the displacement would be 0. Fine. Now let me consider, let us, if I consider this as a body, if I apply some force at a particular region, if I apply certain force, if I apply certain force, if I apply certain force on a particular region, then what is that force? That force we all know. What is that force? What is that force? That force is distributed force per unit area, which is pressure force, right? So that force is distributed force per unit area. Okay. Okay. So these are the forces on any particular region. Okay, fine. So we now know what is this force. This distributed force per unit area, or this pressure force, is nothing but traction force. And traction force obviously should act on a particular surface. So it is surface traction force. It is simply called as traction, or we can also call it as surface traction force. Hope you guys understand what I'm saying, right? Now, let us consider on this particular body, in this particular body, let us consider a differential element. The differential element to analyze the forces. Let us consider a differential element, a three-dimensional differential element. Okay, so it would be easy for us to consider a cube, right? So I'm just considering a cube. You look at here. Okay, so I'm just considering a cube. So now listen carefully. This body, this particular body, three-dimensional body, is under the, let us imagine this particular body is under the under the influence of some body force, whatever the body force might be. It could be gravitational force, magnetic force, or buoyancy force, whatever, some body force. The force, which is acting on the whole volume of the body, is acting on it. This particular body is under the influence of that particular body force. Now, if there is body force, then how could that body force can be represented? Now, since I have taken a three-dimensional body, I can, it's not like the body force is acting only in one direction. Because I have considered a three-dimensional body, I can have all the three components of my body force. Imagine my body force. Body force is F. But because I have considered three-dimensional body, my body force will have Fx component, Fy component, and Fz component in all the three coordinate axes X, Y, and Z. Right? So the body force acting in X direction would be Fx. But this is not force. This is force acting per unit volume. In order to make it only force, because body force is force per volume. So if I want only force, I can multiply body force with volume. What is this volume? What is the volume of this differential element? Okay, let us suppose this differential element length is dx and height is dy and width is dz. Okay, I have considered this as dy. Okay, so this is dx, this is dy, and let us take this as dz. So what would be the volume? Then volume would be dv is equal to dx dy dz. Am I right? So in order to make this body force into normal force, I mean body force, which is obviously force per unit volume. So if I multiply with volume, I only get force. So Fx into dv, which is of course dx into dy into dz. Similarly, in y direction, Fy into dv. Similarly, in z direction, Fz into dv. Fx dv, Fy dv, Fz dv. Okay. Now, let us suppose, so we have considered body force, we have considered traction force. What is the force left over? Point load or point force. So at point I, let us suppose the point load acting at point I is Pi. Fine. Now, under these three forces, under the action of these forces, body force, traction force, and point load, what happens to the body? The body will get deformed, or there will be some displacements inside all these points. Deformation is nothing but the displacements, right? Again, I got some problem. Just keep on the line. I'll just make it fixed. Okay. Fine. So under the action of these three forces, body force, traction force, and point load, what happens to the points inside this body? The body gets deformed. What is deformation? The change in the position, or that is what we call the displacements. Each and every point will be displaced. Under the action of these forces, the body gets gets deformed. Right? What is that deformation? Is nothing but the change in positions of each and every individual points. Right? So the displacement in x direction, I'm considering it as u. Displacement in y direction, I'm considering it as v. Displacement in z direction, I'm considering it as z. Okay, displacement in x direction is u, displacement in y direction is v, displacement in z direction is z. Is that clear? Fine. So with this, I hope if you could, it would be much better if you could take this screenshot of this. Just take the screenshot of it. Just take a screenshot of it, because this is very important, right? Just take a screenshot of it. Fine. Okay. Now, let us consider. So whatever I'm just writing what I mean. I'm just telling you what we have done. I have considered I have considered a three-dimensional body occupying volume V and having the surface S as shown in figure. Okay, so points in the body are located by X, Y, and Z coordinates. So points in the body are located by X, Y, and Z coordinates. And we also seen the boundary is constrained on some reason. The boundary is constrained on some reason where when we have also specified its displacement, we said because it is constrained, the displacement would be zero. Displacement at that particular region where it is constrained, displacement would be zero. So the boundary is constrained on some reason where displacement, displacement is already specified, where displacement is specified. Fine. So we have also seen that on part of the boundary or on the surface, that surface itself is boundary, on part of the boundary or surface, distributed force per unit area, and this also called as traction or surface traction or surface traction force is applied. So this is the force on part of the boundary on particular surface. Surface is the boundary. On part of the boundary, distributed force per unit area, also called as traction or surface traction force, is applied. So this is it. On part of the boundary, on this surface, on some part of the boundary is surface. So on some part of the boundary, distributed force per unit area on this particular area. So this is the area. On this area, distributed force is applied, which is traction or because it is applied on the surface, we also call it as surface traction force. Now, what is the other force that is inherently there? Body force. Body force is inherently applied on the body. Body force is inherently applied on the body, right? Fine. So this is what we have seen. Okay. So there is surface force acting, there is body force acting, and we have also seen that at some point on the boundary, I point force or point load is applied. So at some point on the boundary, point force or point load is applied. Okay, so these are the three forces which we can observe here: body force, traction force, body force. So body force, traction force, and point load. Okay, so these are the three forces that we can see here. Now, I told you, because of the deformation, what happens? Because of the deformation, each and every point gets displaced. Each and every point gets displaced. Let us take the point I initially, before the application of force. Let us take the point I is having coordinates x, y, z. And after the application of forces, this point is moved to I naught as x naught, y naught, z naught. Let us imagine, after the application of force, this point is moved to x naught, y naught, z naught, which is I'm calling it as I naught point. Okay. So this particular force or this particular vector can be represented as in terms of x displacement, y displacement. That is what it is. You can represent it as, okay, in vector form as displacement in x direction, displacement in y direction, and displacement in z direction. And we know displacement in x direction is u, displacement in y direction is v, and displacement in z direction is z. Right? Any point x, y, z can be represented either in a triplet form like x, y, z, or in vector form like x, y, z. Similarly, the displacements can also be represented uv, uv, displacement in z direction. Displacement in z direction is w, right? Most of the time, we represent the point, instead of this column vector, the vector is nothing but should be represented as a column matrix, right? That vector itself is indicating, the column vector itself is indicating that it is a vector, right? So instead of representing in a column vector, but if it is a small column vector like this, but if you have more number of elements inside a column vector, then it would be very space consuming. So what we'll write is, you simply write x, y, z row matrix, and you'll put a transpose. Similarly, in this case, you can simply write u, v, w, and you can put a transpose. Hope you guys understand what I'm saying. So the displacement, this displacement u can be represented as u, v, w transpose. So this is the displacement. Similarly, body force is, of course, it can be called distributed force per unit volume. It is distributed over the whole volume of the body, right? It is distributed over the whole volume of the body, and so this is body force. It is also distributed, but this force is not distributed unlike on any surface, but this force is distributed over the entire volume of the body. So that is the reason it's called body force, and we know it is denoted by F. And this F also, as we have already seen, can be made into its components as Fx, Fy, Fz. Because it is a vector, Fx, Fy, Fz is a vector, I should represent in a column matrix. But here I'm writing in a row, and I'm just putting transpose in order to consume my space. Okay, in order to less consume my space. Okay, so the body force acting on the differential volume element dV is F is equal to Fx, Fy, Fz transpose. Similarly, the surface of traction force. Surface or traction force, or this also called as pressure, or this you can also call it as distributed force per unit area. So this is distributed force per unit area. So denoted by capital T, and capital T I can represent it as Tx, Ty, Tz transpose. In fact, it should be written as Fx, Fy, Fz, but I'm writing a row matrix and putting transpose. Here also it should be represented as Tx, Ty, Tz. Always remember, these are column vectors, these are vectors, so we should represent them in a column matrix. These are vectors, so we should represent them in column matrix, right? So if you think these columns occupy more space, then you can write row and you can put transpose. Similarly, there is other thing left. Last one left. What is that? Point load. Point load. So a load P acting at a point I is denoted as Pi is equal to, yes, this also can be represented in all the three coordinate axes, Px, Py, Pz transpose at point I. In fact, I should write it as Px, Py, Pz, right, at point I. But from here on, when we get bigger matrices, bigger column matrices, then if the number of degrees of freedom is high, then obviously you're going to get a big matrices. So those will be occupying a lot of space if you write a column matrix like this. So in order to make that, in order to consume that particular space, in order to make it less occupying, so what we'll do, we'll write a row matrix and we'll put transpose. Okay. So now we have seen all the three forces as well as displacement, right? So in the next class, we analyze that particular differential volume. What are the forces acting on it? Okay, somebody is asking me, sir, you just go through again the vectors. It's not like, see, if I have, like, let us suppose I have a point, A having coordinates x, y, z. Let us take like this, okay, having coordinates x, y, z, and this point has displaced because of the I'm just giving an example of deformation. So that deform if I see this is my point. Let us say this is my point. If I deform this paper, this is my actual point. If I deform this paper, where is this point now? Here. Initially, it's here. If I deform this paper, now it has come to this particular point. So three-dimensionally, I can say from this point to this point. Okay, let us suppose this is x1, y1, and z1. Similarly, x2, y2, z2. How can I write this x1, y1, z1 with respect to some origin? With respect to some origin, this position is, I call it this as OA, which is nothing but vector. So I can write this simply triplet x1, y1, z1, or I can also write this as x1, y1, z1, which is a vector. What is this vector? It is the position vector, the position A. With respect to what reference I have taken this? I have taken this with reference to the origin, right? Similarly, this point also, I have taken this with reference to, let us say this is B. Then I have, this would be then OB, right? Then this one I can write simply as this, or I can write in this form, x2, y2, z2. These are vectors. Vectors should always be written in column matrix. Okay. Now, if I consider these two, now this point initially at this position now has changed to this position, right? See, now firstly I have considered these 2 points individually, and I say these are the positions OA and OB. Now what I'm saying, this very point has displaced to this place. From A position to B position it has gone. So what would be this? This would be my A, B. So that displacement x, this from x1 to x2, that x displacement, I call this is the resultant. By the way, this is the resultant. This vector AB is the resultant. Now I have to resolve into three components: U, V, W. U in x direction, V in y direction, and in z direction it is W. So this position vector, I'm representing it as U, V, W, corresponding to x, y, z. So in x direction, the displacement is in x direction. This is resultant. So if you take out the resultant, if you put those, because of these three displacements, the resultant displacement is this one, which is I'm showing here AB. Now, if I have to mathematically, if I have to resolve into these three components, then this would be U, V, W. U in x direction, the displacement is U. In y direction, the displacement is V, and in z direction, displacement is W. Hope you guys understand what I'm saying. Okay. Always remember that this matrix should always be this vector should always be represented in column matrix. Okay, because it is because it is space consuming. What I'll do is, instead of writing UVW, I simply write row matrix UVW and I put a transpose. Similarly for point loads Px, Py, Pz transpose. Similarly for traction force. Tx, Ty, Tz transpose. Similarly for body force, Fx, Fy, Fz transpose. Okay. So with this, I'd like to conclude here. And thank you so much for attending. And from here on, as I told you, we'll take a three-dimensional element tomorrow, and we analyze the forces acting on this particular body. I mean, the stresses. Because of this, all these forces, how the body, the stresses will be developed inside a body, and we'll try to write the stress equilibrium equations for three-dimensional body. Okay.